Hey guys, Mr. Lallemand here again. We're going to be doing palm trees with Lolly. For those people in South Carolina, we're going to be doing things that are very similar to palmetto trees, our state tree. Palm trees with Lolly. I've done hundreds and hundreds of them over the years, since it is the state tree for South Carolina where I'm located. I'm going to take you through some really easy steps to do it, give you some quick techniques, and you can then go with it on your own and really add a ton of stuff to it if you want. What we're going to start with is the most important part of the picture. And whenever you have a bunch of parts of your picture, the most important part of the picture is called the focal point or the focus of that picture. Okay. So I'm going to start making this tree the way the tree would grow from the ground up. Okay. And I'm going to start with the trunk. But first, I'm going to add something at the bottom of the paper to help make sure that trunk looks like it's growing out of something. So I'm going to add a little zigzag line for some grass just down here in this corner. And then I'm going to put in the tree trunk. And I want the base of the tree to be a little bit wider than the top of the tree as it goes up. Okay? I don't want to go as high as I can because I need room for the fronds of the tree, the palm fronds. So I just choose a random spot and I'm drawing a line. The cool thing about palmetto trees is they don't always grow perfectly straight up. They can handle a lot of angles and stuff like that. So this is going to be my tree trunk. I'm not doing anything up there yet. I got my two lines. The tree looks like it's seated in the ground because it's being overlapped at the base by that grass. Anytime the palm fronds on a tree fall off, over time, the edges of those palm fronds where they've fallen off leave these ridges along the tree trunk. So I'm just going to put in some curved lines, and I'm making the curved lines do this, kind of like the bottom rung of a rocking chair, but just upside down. See how the curves are going this way? The reason I'm going to do that is as I add the other details, it'll help to exaggerate the length of that tree trunk, but it's also, since it's curved, it gives it the look of that is something that's rounded. It's not just flat anymore. Then I'm also going to take my crayons. A lot of you that have had me as your teacher before know that I like not only just using the tip of the crayon, I also like using the side of the crayon sometimes. I'm just very delicately, very lightly, I'm just going to put, with the side of my crayon, I'm just going to put a very light shading along that edge. And that will give it sort of that rounded shape too. You don't have to do that step if you don't want to, or if that's kind of confusing, but just the lines alone can help you get that feeling of roundness. But if you want to, you just stick a little bit of shading along one of the edges, okay? Now, when the palm fronds first fall off, they leave these little stems at the top of them, and they help to create what is known as the crown of the tree, okay? Because it gets that feeling of like an actual king's crown. So I'm putting in just some zigzags up here. I don't want to just have one row of zigzags. I'm going to have two, one behind the other one too. So I got two zigzags up there. You see the zigzags? Now, I'm going to start with the center part of my palm frond first and then build off of those. So I need to plan out where these fronds are going to go, what direction they're going in. And the cool thing is, palm fronds grow in all different directions around the tree, and they blow in the wind. They can go in almost any direction. So I'm going to have one kind of coming down low maybe one that goes way up off my paper that way. I can have one going that way and another one here. You can have as many or as few as you want. I suggest the way I usually do it, I stay around maybe 4 or 5-ish max. Now I got these center lines. They let me know where the palm fronds are going to go. And all I have to do is add zigzags to both sides of each line. So there's one zigzag line on that side and one zigzag on that side. One zigzag line here, one zigzag line here. I've actually done this with kindergarten and pre-K before, and they've done really well. You just might need to pause or slow down the video to take it step by step, but they can do it. I've seen them do it. Zigzag on both sides. Now, as it is, I could color the picture and it would look really neat, okay? But what I like to also do is think of it as what it is, a landscape, right? So we've talked about landscapes before, and so what I'm gonna do is put in a horizon line. Whenever the tree gets in the way, I just jump over it. See that? I'm drawing it, the tree got in my way, I hopped over it, kept going. I'm then gonna use a bumpy line to add some bushes or trees or something way, way, way off in the distance, okay? That stuff's really far away from me. I don't need a million details in it. So that's really far away from me. All of this is going to end up being water. So I like to come up here and put in some lines. See how they kind of have the feeling of the letter Z or the letter S? You see that? Okay, so now it's more than just the tree. I've added other things to the picture. Just like I've said in another video, I've made the picture huge. I've made that tree big to fill up the space. Now I know it's the focal point of the picture. I also know it's in the foreground because the bottom of it's here, and there's my horizon line. But I'm also concerned about the negative space and shapes around it, right? So when I make something big, it makes a much more interesting negative shape around the tree. And when your negative space around your object is as interesting as the object, you end up with a balanced picture. And now it's ready to add color. I could just leave it the way it is here. Use whatever supplies you have. If you just have a pencil and a piece of paper, you still could end up with a really cool drawing. Keep it up and have fun.